Good morning from the garden. It is actually sunny today. So I was thinking I could do an outdoor video, except it's still been pretty wet, so I can't actually sit down. So we'll go back in the polytunnel and we'll talk in there. In this video, I want to talk about something that is personally been, I guess you could call my kind of core wound, and something that links in nicely with the topic of like life transitions. And also we can find support with it as well through the plants. So threading all those threads, weaving all those threads together, today we're talking about visibility. And the aspect of visibility the facet that I come at visibility from is the way of not being seen when it comes to kind of your work in the world, your vocation, your calling, whatever you want to call it. But just that element of trying to, having that pull to step out there and to do that work. But maybe you have got this wound around visibility, around being seen. And for me, it manifests in two ways. I think there's the really well-known way where it is literally the fear of being seen. So we have this worry, this fear of putting ourselves out there, holding ourselves back in some way. So that might, look something like fear of going out and speaking to people, or fear of making videos, for your business and putting them on YouTube, or fear of having, say like a business and having your face, you as the brand in that business. And I guess from talking from like a relationship point of view, we might have a fear of being seen, for who we really are, who we authentically are, around somebody that we care about. That's also a fear of being seen. And through my own work, I've discovered that there is another facet to struggling with visibility as a wound. And I say this as the sun is blaring down on my face and I'm now struggling to see because it's getting brighter. But the other facet that I've come across is not that, for me, it wasn't that I was afraid to be seen. Well, that was part of it. But once I moved through that part of it, then that fear lessened and I put myself out there a bit more. It then becomes, the wound works where you start putting yourself out there, but maybe you're like met with silence. So, you'll put content out there, or you'll put something on social media, or you'll try and start a conversation with somebody and you're met with that just deafening, like tumbleweed silence. There's no feedback, maybe you're not getting feedback in terms of like likes or followers, for example, on social media. And that can be quite a more subtle part of the wound, because, I think the reaction is to be like, well, either there's something wrong with me, there's something wrong with what I'm doing, there's something wrong with the content I'm trying to put out there, for example. Or equally, we might get annoyed and be like, well, I'm putting all this stuff out there, why am I not being seen? Why is no one replying, and getting angry at the outside world? And I think this is where we have to dig a bit deeper in terms of like putting yourself out there, putting your work out there, putting your content out there, writing, painting, art, whatever. I think, yes, it is important that we are kind of monitoring what we're putting out there. Is it genuinely helpful to people? So, when we're creating, there is always that element to think about. But I think more often than not, it's not that's the issue. It's the deeper layers that we have to go under and uncover why we have this wound around visibility. I also think as well, this is a multi-layered thing, and it's not something we're meant to sort of dig into, find the core reasons why, take them out and then go, right, I've solved this problem. It's a ongoing process, and I think it's probably almost a lifelong one, really. So yeah, we can definitely address like the more sort of surface issues of visibility, which would be, how do we get our message, our content, our creations out to more people, and how do we get some feedback on that? There are definitely, practical things that we can do to address that issue, but at the same time, this door keeps closing on me in the wind. At the same time, I think it can do us good to delve a little deeper into why this is coming up for us as a wound in the first place. Because I think a lot of us will find if we do delve down and subconsciously there is some kind of belief or beliefs that are holding us back from being visible. And one of the first things to really work out is what visibility means for us personally. It doesn't have to mean like my whole life is completely exposed to the public eye and everybody knows what's going on in my public life, or if you've just got into a new relationship with somebody, it doesn't mean necessarily that you have to be so authentically vulnerable that you lay everything out on the line straight away, all your wounds, and just give it to that person full throttle straight away, because if you're in a new relationship with somebody, that may well just scare them off, not because they're a bad fit for you, but just because it's too much too soon. So yeah, I think we have to have that definition of what visibility looks for us now at this time, particularly as well, maybe not necessarily in 5 years or whatever, but how it looks for us at this time. What would being visible, being seen comfortably look like for you? It might be that you can be yourself with somebody that you're dating. It might be that you have, growing subscribers to your content or your social media channels. It might be that when you work with people, you receive feedback on your work. But often I feel as we sort of dig down into these real core beliefs that are fueling this somehow, and it can be we cannot necessarily always see the connect between the beliefs we have about ourselves and the way that they're kind of manifesting in our lives. And for me, it was all that kind of feeling of like, I'm not enough. That's what everything, you take away all the different layers and you boil it down to the core layer, and it's that feeling of like, in some way I'm not enough. And I think that happens for a lot of people, is the kind of core root belief. So today this isn't really a deep dive into the visibility wound and how to overcome it, but I would say 3 things that have helped me on my own journey, because I am still on this journey very much so. 3 things that have helped me. Probably the first one would be consistency in showing up. So in terms of showing up, picking a place to show up. So for me, it's like YouTube and now Substack as well, because of the writing side of it. And being consistent, showing up there regularly, even if I don't know what the F I am going to write or speak about, just showing up, the boring consistency bit. And also when we're in those early stages is that kind of detachment of the outcome. So not focusing in obsessively on the numbers, I've only got this many subscribers, or I've only had this many likes, or I've only got this much reach, but not obsessively just saying, I'm going to turn up, I'm going to show up like an act of devotion consistently. I'm going to show up here and, give it what I've got, create my best stuff, give my best service, and not focus on like the metrics of it, but just show up with an open heart and trust that it's going to reach who it needs to reach. So there's that. And then also there's this element of really looking at our own self-beliefs, because especially as therapists, healers, highly sensitive people, we're not really great at like tooting our own horn, and going up to people and being able to engage in dialogue about what we do and why we're good at it. It can be a real struggle to kind of, toot your own horn and say, this is what I do, this is how I'm of service, this is my zone of genius, I am good at this thing, this is how I can help. We find it really difficult. So yeah, just going in and examining those real beliefs that are under the surface there about maybe why we can't do that. So is it that fear that what we're offering is not enough or not enough value, or is it that fear maybe of rejection, that we're going to put something out there and then people can be like, I don't like that, I don't need that's crap, and that can really tie into especially that second level I was talking about of visibility challenges, where you're met with silence, because on some level maybe you do have that fear of rejection, and that's sort of projecting outwards. I guess the third tip I'd have in working with things to overcome a visibility wound would be working with the plants. Obviously, it's got to be plants. And also the seasons as well, because, you know, we're now, here in the UK, we're supposedly entering summer now, apparently. Not caught up here yet. But summer is naturally a time of, you know, where we do kind of go out and put ourselves out there a bit more, and those of us who are social are more social. And, you know, it's the opposite of sort of winter, where we kind of go down and within and very insular. So it's a good sort of season to work on being visible. In terms of plants, the one that springs to mind firstly for me is Calendula, or pot marigold. You know, it's just such a solar plant connected to the sun. Visibility. The bright orange flowers are very eye-catching. You know, you can see them coming, and it's such a plant that, you know, self-seeds it really well as well, and grows. It's quite a hardy plant. It grows really prolifically. It shows up. It's kind of like consistent in a way, and it's really hardy. It'll keep on going to the best of its ability to be itself. And again, it's not the biggest plant, you know, the tallest plant, or the really widest plant, or the visually the showiest plant. It can be quite small and subtle. But with the flowers in particular, it knows how it does its own thing of catching attention and being visible. And you'll find that with quite a few flowers as well. So there might be another sort of type of flower that you feel particularly drawn to work with, or just particularly drawn to maybe have in your garden or have some in a vase at home. The other plant that comes up particularly for me to mind is mullein, and I always pronounce this wrong. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right. Mullein. I used to call it mullein, but I think it's mullein. But forgive me if I'm pronouncing it wrong, because I'm rubbish sometimes with pronunciations. But you know what I mean, right? It's the one, it grows really tall. It's like, it can grow up to 6 foot tall, and it's got these big spike with yellow flowers and these massive, big, fluffy, velvety leaves. And for me, it's in my garden, it's like I planted it in the flower bed one year, and it grows on like a 2-year cycle. The first year it grows as like a rosette, and the second year, big shaft thing comes up. And I planted it in the flower bed, and it like died after. The second year it went up, and then it just died. And the year after it didn't appear, and I thought, oh, well, it's not come back. Great, okay. Because I struggled to grow it from seed, actually, from a packet. And yeah, it's now just the year after popped up all around the cracks of the garden. So like between the flower bed and the driveway and all the cracks and crevices. There's loads growing now. I'll get a shot of that as well. But yeah, it's popped up everywhere because it blatantly didn't give a shit where I wanted it to be planted nice and neat in the flower bed. It wanted to grow where the hell it wanted to grow, which is in the cracks, in the crevices, in the thresholds. And so for me, growing that plant, I got that message of like visibility at the threshold. It is a visible plant in terms of it is tall and it's got bright yellow flowers, you know. It's not very visible in the first year as well. So it also speaks to that, you know, not just jumping from kind of being invisible straight into full visibility, but that sort of tiered approach, you know, where we might sort of open up as a little bit of a rosette for a while and get comfortable with a bit more visibility before we go for it. So again, I think there's loads of different plants. It's not, you know, sort of like, oh, this particular plant is good for visibility issues. I think there are lots of different plants, and whatever speaks to you. You know, if you've noticed a plant and it's really spoke to you and you're struggling with visibility, then that could well be a plant that you would work with around visibility, because it has become visible to you, it has spoken to you, it has made itself seen. So that plant to you then it's made itself seen to you, then can help you with that medicine of you being seen to your right people, because we don't necessarily need to be seen by absolutely everybody. We need to be seen by our right people. So that's what I've got to say on visibility today. Let me know in the comments below, you know, if that's something you're struggling with, and also, you know, if you're working with plants as well, which ones speak to you, which ones do you work with? If you are as well in that kind of in between of a life transition, or maybe at that threshold point where you're ready to kind of move forward, but something maybe is holding you back, then a few simple plant allies are in my free guide, The Style. There's a free guide and audio where we sort of sit with wild rose for a bit, which is a fantastic one as well. Some plant allies to help you over the threshold, and we just chat a bit about how they can help you, how you can work with them, and yeah, in the audio sit with wild rose for a little bit and see what medicine she has for you. So if you want to join the path, then I will pop a link to The Style in the description below. Otherwise, I will see you soon for the next video.